Now, what is up, my fellow prod coders? Welcome to this video, and today we'll continue working on our JSON Web Token server-to-server communication with the HMAC digital signature. Now, in the last video, we created this produce endpoint, so that was quite a lot. And yeah, now we should think about like how to test this. So a couple of things. So for one, I would like to go to this package.json, and I just noticed that we have this partner server name environment variable, but we're actually not setting it. So we should definitely do that. So let's go here, and I'm just going to say this would be server B, and this one would be server A. That's the first thing. Another thing I would like to do is I would like to use node-mon here, because I just don't want to restart that stuff all the time. It's super annoying. Yeah, so now we should have the proper environment variables. Let's go back to our router. Yeah, so right now we just pass an empty function, and of course this will not work. So what we need to do is we need to wire our consumer and produce endpoint with our, we need to wire that up with our router. So let's go to our router and let's just import these two controllers. So I'm just going to say producer controller equals require and one up controller producer. And then I will say consumer controller, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to import the consumer, and now I will say producer controller dot produce semicolon and consumer controller dot consume. And by the way, your routes files should roughly look like this, right? You should not have any logic inside your routes file. This should always go into like a controller. Okay, but now that we have this, I think we should be fairly good. So what we can do is we can try to start our two servers. So let's open like a terminal. I already started them, but I'm just going to stop them real quick. Like this and like this. Okay, so let's make this a little bit bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say server A, start server A, and now we see node-mon running server A, which is good because if we notice some bug, it's going to restart it automatically, which is pretty nice. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to say run server B. Right? Yeah. Good. That should be okay. And now what else can we do? We can start with Postman. So at the moment we have two servers running, one on port 3000, one on port 8080, and we somehow need to test what we have done. So let's open Postman, and I'm going to, like, I created a new collection here, and this collection is called server to server, and I just made a localhost 3000 API / produce call with post, and I just sent some random data. So let's just see what happens. If I send this, what's going to happen? Okay, now we have something went wrong. Let's go to our server. Requests failed with 401. Okay, it says invalid token. Okay, it has like an invalid token. It fails at verify token. Okay, let's just check that one out. Verify token. Yes, let's go to this token service. I think we're probably not passing the correct thing in. So we're not getting anything back, like ASD decoded token. Oh, whoops. Yeah, that was like one mistake I did before. So previously I had like 7 instead of 8. So that's why it didn't work. Of course, the token is invalid if that happens. So let's see if this is like the only problem. And bam, nice, we got a 204. So that means theoretically, technically, we should have received something. So just to recall, like what just happened. We were running on port 3000 and we were calling this produce endpoint. And port 3000 is like server A, and we told server A, hey man, send a request to server B. And then it looked up the configuration of the server B in our config file and said, all right, this is localhost 8080. So I'm going to send a request to this server, and I'm going to generate like a JWT token for that. And our server B said, oh, it just received like something from this message is the body of HTTP request and comes from server A. And it even printed like the decoded token, right? This token was generated by server A. You say issued at, expired at, audience, which is localhost 8080, issuer server A, subject server B. So that looks pretty good. I think the only thing that was pretty useless in my request was this request body, because in our producer endpoint, like it would not pick up it would not do anything with the body pretty much. Cool. The only other thing we could do is we can do this the other way around as well. So let's just enter a few blanks here so that it's easier to see. So now we are telling server B to send a message to server A. And if we make this request, bam, you see 204, no content. Nice. So let's go to our logs, and here we see it. Server B sending request to consumer, localhost 3000, so server A, and data exchange successful. And server A has received a message from server B, and it even shows us the decoded token. Yeah, so that's it pretty much. So we now have a working server-to-server communication, guys. That's pretty cool. We implemented JWTs. And now one more thing. This produce endpoint is not protected. So that means anyone can call this produce endpoint, because we just want to have some way of testing it, right? If we go to our routes, we see that we only plug in the authentication middleware after the consume endpoint. So anyone can call this produce endpoint, but you can only call consume if you have a valid token. And I just wanted to try out what happens if we call consume, because that should actually give us like a bad request. Yeah, so you see on unauthorized, so basically our middleware kicked in, and it was able to detect that we don't have a missing token. So basically we ended up here. We don't have an authorization header, so there's no token in it. And even if I go to authorization and I say bureau token and put in like some garbage and I send it, bam, then it returns invalid token, because that's obviously not a valid JWT. So that's nice. If we don't put a token here, our request fails, it gets blocked. If we put an invalid token, something that is not signed with this particular secret, then it will fail as well. So that looks pretty good. And that also means that our hacker here, this guy, he wouldn't really have a chance to get in. Now, there's like one more thing I'd like to mention. At the moment, we're running like on localhost and we're running on HTTP. So the communication between these servers is not encrypted. So even though the hacker could not call the consume endpoint, what the guy could do is we could try a man-in-the-middle attack. And that's what I said before, that it is important if we use these tokens that we are sending them over a secure connection. Because remember, we're using JSON Web Signature, and this is just some signed data, right? Some signed object. It is not something that is encrypted. So if you are somehow able to read the request body, then you can just steal the token and then everything is over. So that's just one more thing I wanted to point out. So yeah, we're running on localhost. It's fine. It's a tutorial, right? But on production, it's really important to use like a secure network protocol so that there's no way for an attacker to intercept here. And yeah, like so, we can basically make sure that these servers only talk to each other or that they know when the request comes from a trusted source, and that the hacker does not have a chance to get in. Cool. So that's it pretty much for this JSON Web Signature topic together with HMAC. I hope this makes this entire topic a little bit clearer. I think we saw that we need to have like a shared secret. That's the important thing to understand. And that we always put this token inside of the authorization header. And then once you receive the request, we verify the token. And if the token is not valid or no token is there, we block it. Yeah, and that is basically JSON Web Signature or JWT tokens in action. So thank you very much for watching. Please make sure to give the video a thumbs up. Also leave me a comment if you have a question. You can also reach out to me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @productioncoder. And I've also put a link in the description down below. So if you are interested in more content and you want to have a say in what we cover next on the channel, you can sign up there and then we can see what we can do. So again, thank you very much for watching. I think I'll put the code on GitHub so you can check it out, the finished source code, and for the impatient basically. And yeah, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel and I hope to see you in the next video.